thank everyone for being here for our first Consumer Affairs Consumer Conference for this year. Thank you all for being here. So we'll get started. Let's see if we have any questions. We all good? Okay, awesome. If we could have you all just kind of introduce yourself, tell us what your roles are in this business, and just give us a little bit about what you're doing. I didn't speak your application, but you can just give us a quick high level of what's going on, okay?
Hello. Hi, I am Benjamin Duke from Tax Strategies. On behalf of Purely, we're here discussing the application for adult use sales at their medical dispensary in Portsmouth.
Hi, I'm Peter D'Agostino, also from 10X Strategies on behalf of Purely, and I'm a partner at the firm.
Hello, my name is Denise Reville, and I'm the district manager and head of retail for New York Stores for Purely.
Thank you all. It's good to meet you. I would just like to start off by just kind of giving us a high level of what Purely does. And I know that you guys are already in the neighborhood. I have seen your location. I know that you're currently in this role. I think that you are going to be adding on this position. I don't think you can just give us a little high level about what the business does and what's encouraged you to switch over and include this into your business plan.
Yes, so Purely, we started as a medical medicinal company. We saw the benefit in medicinal cannabis and how it's helped many people discover a holistic way of finding relief for their different medicinal needs. And we noticed that we had to turn a lot of the community away, unfortunately, as people came in seeking cannabis knowledge. We do educate, we have actually what we call medical Saturdays where we educate the community and welcome people into our doors to learn about the benefits of cannabis. But with that, unfortunately, a lot of people, New York City being a fast city, are looking for relief in the moment. We've also seen the, ongoing of illicit shops in the community and wanted to be able to bring people in and educate them on safe spaces to find cannabis, which is why when we had the opportunity to add adult use to our business, we definitely wanted to do that so that we wouldn't have to turn people away and would be able to bring people in and make them know that they're getting regulated, safe cannabis.
Yeah, and just as a quick clarification, so the store is currently open for adult use sales as well as medical. So they had the opportunity at the end of June of this year to apply to the OCM to open adult use sales at 2 of their medical stores. And so they applied to the OCM as well as notified the community board. As I understand it, since you guys do not meet during the summer, it was not possible to get a response into the OCM from you guys during that 60-day window that you have. And so the OCM, receiving a response that you would not get to it within the 60-day window, approved the conversion. There was no major changes to the store since it was already operating as a medical dispensary. So mostly the only change was that people who did not have a medical card were over 21 could come into the store.
Denise, you said that you are the district manager and based on the answers that you have, you'll be on location at some times. Can you tell us a little bit about your role in the company and what are the locations and how much time do you spend in the Forest Hills location and the other locations that you guys?
Yes, of course. So my role is predominantly to support my stores, my teams, make sure that we have everything we need to support the community as well. With that, we do outreach and different things as well to reach out to our communities and invite people in. I'm typically at the Queens location every week, if not every other week. Especially, it's actually one of the locations that are closer to me as well. But especially with just being in the city and being able to have boots on the ground and connect with the community here. We do have 6 locations throughout the state of New York. We have Forest Hill, to support our teams and showcases well there. Did that answer your question?
I don't know.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, I forgot about the one.
That's okay.
You already actually answered one of my questions. Check.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, cool. So my, yeah, I don't think it's going to the microphone. So thank you, a number of locations in the state. You guys are throughout 18 states. Where do you guys stand nationally? You guys are in the top 5. I'm more curious than anything of you. I live down the street from your location, Forest Hills. I think it's well ran, paid on, compared to everything else I've seen citywide. So I'm curious, want to educate myself actually. So you're in 18 states. Where do you guys stand nationally?
We are in the top 5. We are a global company as well. And just one of the things that I really like about Curly is that we plan to stick and stay. We're invested in the cannabis industry and breaking the stigma around it.
From a community standpoint, I appreciate that because you have a brand that you have to live up to. Yeah, you can't disappear. You have no intention of disappearing.
Lots of accountability.
That's
Tons
right.
of accountability.
And then you can turn that off, and then you can turn yours on. This way, we all share one mic. There doesn't have to be any on-off.
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Actually, so that was really my one question, was just kind of to educate myself. Oh, I'm sorry, I did have one more question actually flipping through the application. You guys have security application, I've seen them, and I bumped into them on the sidewalk, very polite, very courteous. Are they third, do you contract out your security, or is that in-house?
Those are Curaleaf employees. They are not contracted out.
But they are licensed, security guards from the state of New York, or are they just on staff, assigned to the board?
I know they just have their security.
Give me 1 second, just one more question. So hours, I was looking at 8 p.m. and 7, for the 7 p.m. on Sunday. Is that traditional for your locations, or is that specific to Forest Hills? Because we're kind of an earlier community, or?
No, that's relatively traditional. Our store hours can vary from store to store, but that aligns with like stores like Rochester, Syracuse, things like that. Yes.
Okay, that was my last question. I just thought maybe you guys had a customer base that might want to run out after dinner. Thank you.
David, Chance, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Just flip it down.
Thank you. Just leading through the application, how is the store was set up? So how do you work it now? Thank you. How do you work it now with people coming in just looking to purchase and also have there been any problems recently with people going on the wrong line, or how does that work?
So we do have different zones for our team members to quote unquote live in our store. We do have kiosks on site as well for specifically the medical orders as well as specifically for adult use. So they have their own areas to place their order, and they have someone that will assist them with that as well. And then we've always had about 7 registers on site, but have only needed to use about 3 when medical. So we now have specific registers designated for either to manage the crowd and separate lines as well.
Right, are you gonna need more people to handle the store?
We have hired more people, yes, to do so.
From where?
Locally, within the city.
Okay, where did you post it?
We post on Curaleaf.com's careers page, we post on Indeed, LinkedIn, and then we also have our talent acquisition team that will source individuals as well.
Can they come into the store and get a resume?
Yes, of course. Of
Well,
course.
people are looking for work.
Oh, yeah,
All right,
definitely.
just out of curiosity, what is tinctures?
Tinctures, so it comes, in almost like, it comes in a little bottle with a dropper. And you just drop it underneath your tongue sublingually. We have different ratios of those kinds.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, just so we know to see how many it was. Most, nobody's gonna be able to do their thing in-house
No.
at all.
Not at
And
all.
you don't do that in the other cities.
Correct.
Now, what about outside? How do you,
Not on the premises.
no, I'm talking about the side.
Oh, this one.
So if somebody goes out, starts smoking outside.
David, just put it.
If somebody goes outside, whether it's medicinal or whatever, they park themselves outside the store,
Yeah, so in this instance, if they walked, right outside the door of the store and started smoking something, we would request that they not do that right in front of the store. New York City does have smoke-free area laws where I believe it's the same as cigarettes. So wherever you would be able to smoke cigarettes, you'd be able to smoke weed. So we would request that they not do it, directly in front of the store. And it is illegal to do it in a park or near public dining areas, I believe, as well, under the city law. But on the sidewalk, if it was not directly in front of the store, we request that they not do it, but ultimately that's up to the city law.
It's 25 feet.
25 feet.
That's a cigarette.
Sorry. The three of us all each.
Thank you. Hi. Would you be able to speak on product packaging and just clarifying that it can't be confused with candy?
So the New York State regulations on this are very strict and very specific with regards to packaging anything or even naming it, or even frankly the color scheme being something that can be confused with candy. You're absolutely not allowed to name anything that would be sort of a derivative of a commonly known candy name. Curaleaf certainly does not do that or carry that in any of their stores. And then they have restrictions as well around the colors and what the packaging looks like. All of that packaging has to get approved by the state regulatory body. And so in that instance, if there are products that you may have seen that look like that, it's very likely that they are illicit products.
Thank you. And then also, I believe I saw a passage somewhere in the plan about elderly consumers and concerns with caretakers being able to pick up on your behalf. Can you speak to that process on how you vet the caretaker that they're appropriately picking up for that elderly consumer?
Yes, so caregivers also have to go through the state's process of becoming a caregiver for their patient. So they would have their own caregiver information that is then tied to the patient's profile and would have to show the proper identification, just like as the patient would when they come into the store.
I just want to clarify, you're talking about the medicinal, like not the recreational, because like anybody can buy recreational, I mean, they can't control, once someone buys it, they can't control who they're buying it for. So if they need it medicinally, then they have to prove that they're the caretaker for someone that qualifies for it.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions from this side of the room?
I have a few more questions, but actually, since everybody asked one question, I'm gonna pass it down to our board chair, Ms. Heather, for her to ask her question first.
Hi, I've gotten to 53 years old and I've never tried marijuana before, but I don't think I'll get to my grave without trying it. So, I would love some understanding between the, what you dispense on the medical side, how different that is from what is being dispensed on the adult retail side. That's my first question.
So there are several categories that can transition between either side. For example, flour, buds, which you would see in an eighth or an ounce or what have you. However, there are certain restrictions such as on botanical terpenes. There are cannabis-derived terpenes and there are botanical terpenes. Botanical terpenes, as it stands today in regulation, cannot go to the medical side. So those, you would find botanical terpenes in things such as vapes, or they can be added to edibles to help with certain effects that you might be seeking.
Does that have anything to do with potency? Like, is the medicinal more potent than the recreational, or no?
As it stands today, no. The only potency restriction currently is medical can have edible packages that exceed 100 milligrams.
Okay.
Adult use cannot. That is the only potency restriction.
So if somebody came in, did not have a prescription from their doctor, they were undergoing chemo, for example, and they needed something to relieve the pain, or the nausea that just is inevitable. Dilaudid's not working. Can they come in and get some advisement from you and get something that would help address that on the adult side that does not necessarily require a prescription?
We do have items on the adult use side that could assist with that, and we do have pharmacists on site at all times that can also assist in speaking with the customer that may be self-medicating through the adult use side.
So can somebody walk into the medicinal side and say, same situation, cancer, chemo, nausea, pain, and go to the medicinal side, or do they have to actually have a prescription? Like I would need a prescription from my doctor if I needed, let's say, like Adderall, right? I have to have that from my doctor, and I can't refill it every 30 days. Are those same kind of regulations on the medicinal side, like 30-day supply, must have a prescription, we have a database, we keep track, so on?
So there is a database that we keep track called PNP, where the pharmacists upload what was purchased that day by the patients. I'm sorry, I can't recall what your first question was.
Do they have they have to have an actual prescription?
Not for the specific item. So each item does have, say, a 30-day supply cutoff that will max out depending on how much that patient is purchasing.
Okay.
But there is no, I have a prescription for nighttime edibles, nothing specific like that in reference to your Adderall company.
Okay, and is there ever any, because, I know that in some situations, pain management is like being handled very differently in the medical field now. In fact, sometimes doctors don't even handle it themselves, and they send it on to a pain management team. So if you've got somebody that's in pain that's already getting, let's say, Percocet, and that's not touching it, and they come in and they're trying to get, more. Do you guys ever ask them to provide what they're present on the medicinal side, what they're presently taking to ensure that there's not going to be any issues? Maybe even recommending, if you're taking Percocet, take it here, and then maybe take your evening edible an hour later. You might want to take this a little early, okay? Because, yeah. And so do those conversations happen? Do you keep track of that information? How do you ensure that we're not creating a situation where there could be something happen that could be emergent?
Certainly. Those types of conversations would generally happen in a consultation with our pharmacists. We do discuss the different medications that the patient may be on, how that may affect it. I've even seen conversations around if a patient is looking to wean themselves off of something, things like that.
And do you ever have it where, like, if someone came in on the adult retail side, having the same situation, saying, hey, I've got this, I'm dealing with this, would they ever say, I get it, but I think it would be in your best interest to go over to our pharmacy, to this side of the store? Do you ever have a cross referral?
Certainly. That's actually been kind of a focus in a lot of our stores that we've seen transition. We've seen a lot of adult use customers come in that were maybe a little hesitant prior to and just wanted to get some more information and end up getting their medical card, yes. And even without your medical card, our pharmacists are more than willing to have that consultation and discuss these different items with the customer. have made it a lot easier now. So one, I would say come to our medical Saturdays, right? To learn about it. We'll be glad to help you right there on the spot. But there's several doctors and lots of information on the OCM's website as well, how to get your card now.
Okay. Thank you.
You're so welcome. My pleasure.
And when is your next medical Saturday?
This Saturday,
What time?
12 to 4.
Every Saturday, 12 to 4.
Every Saturday, 12 to 4, someone's ready to help you.
All right, folks, there you have it.
Okay. Can you please tell us a little bit more about the programs that you have for the community? I see the Rooted in Good program, and also you have educational programs for the community. Is that something that you're already doing in the Forest Hills area, or is something that you're planning on doing besides the medical side of things?
Rooted in Good is actually a national initiative that we started, if I recall correctly, at the top of the 2020s. Being a larger cannabis company, it was our goal to assist other minority businesses and within our doors with the spaces that we currently hold. So our goal was to have 420 minority businesses that we were assisting within our Rooted in Good. And then in addition to that, within the Forest Hills area, we do have different organizations that we are partnering with in hopes of bringing light to cannabis and also bringing light to their initiatives as well. So that would be more local, where we would partner with different organizations locally to bring light to any initiatives in the community.
Yeah, and I actually have a list here of some of the community organizations that we're currently working with and building partnerships with. So we're working with the Queens Community House in Forest Hills, which provides social support programs for youth, adult, and seniors, as well as education and other things. The Queens Pride House, the New York Blood Center, the LGBTQ+ Network Center in Queens, as well as within the Curaleaf store, they do something called Feed the Block, which is fundraising for local food banks and other organizations that fight food insecurity.
Thank you.
I have a lot of questions now. I know. But I want to get you out because I know you guys have been waiting for us, so I do apologize for the delay. Do you want to ask, because I know that we will have you guys come back again to our greater board, and hopefully it's all three of you, or just some of you. I was just wanting to know, I know that he's probably working right now, is Emmanuel going to be joining us for the greater board, or would it just be you as a representative for the Queens Forest Hills location?
I'm not 100% sure that Emmanuel will be here next week.
Okay.
Yes.
Because sometimes it's nice to hear from the person. I know you said you go there as much as possible, but someone on the ground, it's sometimes nice to hear their point of view. Because they've been working in the community, they know what's good, what needs to be some changes. So that's not how I ask that question, so thank you for answering. In regards to your delivery service, it's good to get that you have a two-person team. That's something I've always raised a question of. I can always see that on the application, so thank you. But I just wanted to make sure, because I don't see it, and apologize for my lack of knowledge. Do you only accept credit card payments? Or like, is it have they have to go on like your website in order they get delivered? Do they call? Can they give cash once they provide the proper documentation for age? How is that process done?
We do accept cash. We do also accept what is called CanPay, and it's pretty much, I don't know if you know.
I know them from another.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of like an app, so it's a cashless payment as well.
In regards to the advertisements, I know you say you do this based off of the guidelines of Section 129 of the Office of Cannabis Management, but can you just give us, as someone who doesn't really know too much about the Office of Cannabis Management, what are the restrictions? Like, I think we had one committee member mention that she's heard your commercials on, I guess, the radio or maybe the TV, but that was in Connecticut, if I remember, or was it? I don't know where it was.
I think it was Long Island. You get coupons.
Yeah, but how was that done? Because I only passed your location. I don't really know too much about it. Like,
Good question.
yeah. Okay, if you want to come back to the greater, because we can always ask that question at the greater board meeting too, if you'd like to have more preparation. Because I know it's kind of
Yeah, we can get you a more firm answer on that. I'm not specifically aware of that commercial. It varies state by state since it's not federally legal. Each state has their own guidelines for advertising. As far as in New York, they have very strict guidelines around advertising. It's one of the strictest set of guidelines probably in the country. So, in terms of advertisements, you're generally only allowed to have very basic information about the store, maybe the logo in there. You're not supposed to have any sort of imagery or things that might be construed as being attractive to minors, no super bright colors, and they have specific ways of measuring all this. No cartoon fonts, they say. And until very recently, they had strict rules around what you can put on signs, billboards and the like.
But you can do billboards.
Yes. So
And radio commercials?
it depends on the radio commercial. The thing is with the regulations around marketing, pretty much everything has to go through the compliance team at Curaleaf because it is so convoluted and complicated. They have 30 pages of advertising guidelines, and you have to make sure that you check every single one of those boxes before you put out any sort of advertisement, whether that be a T-shirt or a sign or a radio commercial. So we will try and get you a better answer on that specific instance. But there is a team at Curaleaf that does really good work around this. They make sure everything checks all the boxes and is good to go.
I think that specific email she was in Long Island, but it was a Connecticut radio station. So it's possible that in Connecticut they're allowed to do that, and in New York they're not. Because she was in Nassau, like Suffolk County, but she was getting a radio station from Connecticut.
Yeah, it's very likely. It's very likely that there will be different experiences in the different states just because the advertising rules are
It
different.
just made me prompt like, oh, wonder what New York is like, because again, I don't do this. So I just want to know more knowledge for my sake. So in question 10, we mentioned the Forest Hill Stadium. That's a very hot topic for our community right now. And you mentioned that you've hired an additional 8 staff members. Are those specifically for concerts in regards to what happens at Forest Hill Stadiums, or is that just all the time? Like, you hire those 8 people to help this year all the time?
Yeah, so that was as part of the transition to adult use. We hired additional staff members with the understanding that a broader range of people would be able to come into the store, not just medical patients. As far as the concert specifically, we actually talked to Emmanuel earlier this week about that. We asked him a question. He mentioned that there was a Pitbull concert, I guess last week or the week before, and he said that it hasn't really been their experience that they've had to make major changes to the operations to accommodate for that. As Denise mentioned earlier, they have 7 points of sale, and usually only 3 or 4 of them are active at any given time. So, if there was a concert and everybody decided they wanted to come to Curaleaf, which would be a great idea, then we could activate those additional points of sale, and you've got 50% more places where people can take orders.
So Robert, thank you for asking about the security question. I just have a follow-up to the security question. Here you give a very general response of saying that you have 1 security guard from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Is there someone that will be there to cover him during a lunch shift or a 15-minute break, which is an entitlement to anyone who works in New York City? Or is that person there from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., which is a very long shift, personally, in my opinion. So I'd like to know, what is the steps you take for when that person needs to take a lunch break, a 15-minute, go to the bathroom, take a mental health break for 5 minutes. How is that steps done? Because you're only saying 1 security guard.
Of course. So we do have those other 2 security guards that are doing home deliveries. So typically they'll come back to the store, and while they're waiting for everything to be processed, that guard can step off, as they'll have 2 additional on site.
I did not know that there was additional security guard doing
Oh, yes.
delivery on
They're
site. It's
part
not
of
listed in the application. So thank you for.
Yes, of course, they are part of the security team as well as doing home deliveries.
I want to implement something. Are they licensed?
We did ask that question.
Oh.
They are, to their knowledge, they are. They're Curaleaf employees, and they have the license to wear security guards.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. So in regards to the educational aspect, you did list off a few of your organizations. As someone who works in an organization in the community, what is your selection process like? Because my organization, I wanted to partner with you, and I've never heard of that. I didn't know you guys offered that. So how is your selection process done?
So through a multitude of ways, between our marketing team and our team that's boots on the ground, recommending different organizations, a team member, maybe a part of an organization or know someone that is. But if your organization would be interested, we certainly would be as well.
Sequel. See.
Let me know.
Yeah, it does vary. Oh, sorry, did you want to add something?
Oh, no.
Okay, so this may vary state to state. I have friends who live in Virginia and they have a medicinal card in Virginia, and the process goes, they are limited, they have a certain limit that they cannot cross. If they cross the limit, they have to wait a certain amount of time. Is that similar here? Like, do you guys have, do you have to label how much they've gotten, like a 30-day, you mentioned a 30-day supply. Is there a limit, is what I'm asking, on how much they can purchase in regards to the medicinal, but also the adult?
So medicinally, it would be that days of supply. However, if, say it was someone that may have cancer or something like that, their doctor could potentially up their supply as needed. But our POS systems do have something set in place to let the team members know when someone is reaching their limit.
This is my last question. If you have a medical customer come in and purchase their supply, can they leave that line and go to the adult use and buy more?
So, the law that I understand it to be a max of 3 or 3.5
3 ounces,
ounces,
yeah.
3 ounces, yes. We haven't run into that scenario where someone's done something like that. However, switching over in their profile, it likely would catch that, this person is at their limit, but we haven't really run into that instance or that issue as it stands today. But yes, the limit is 3 ounces to have on your person.
Okay, thank you, that's all my questions. Anyone else have any questions?
I have a question, I have 2 questions, actually. The first one is, do you verify the person's identity before you schedule the delivery? Like, do they have to verify their age, like, before the team goes out for the delivery, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and currently, as I understand it, the delivery is only for medical patients. So we're looking to add adult use going forward. But currently, it's only medical patients, and so they upload a copy of their medical registration card.
And when you
As part
start
of
your delivery for the adult use, you'll still verify their age before you send out your team to deliver, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Oh, and do you verify age when they come into the store, before they start browsing and looking around? There's someone at the door checking their ID?
Yep, that's correct. And then it's also verified again when they reach the
When
point
they
of
check
sale.
out. Perfect, thank you.
Anyone else?
Follow-up question. Would you be offering delivery to adult use as well in the future?
Yeah, as I understand it, that's the plan for the future. Currently, it's only medical. You have to staff up as you add in a broader range of people that you might be delivering to. And so for right now, I believe that the focus is on getting the adult use up and running in the store while maintaining that service level to medical patients that are delivered.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so.
Just remember, can I have a thing? Just remember next week when you come see us, it's not here, we're gonna be at Borough Hall. We'll be in room 213. There is security, so you will have to go through security downstairs. We'll be upstairs, the staircase will be to your left. Just don't come here, we won't be here. We will supply to our board your questionnaire in advance. We do let them know that they can also confirm the video that we're recording today. And there will likely be some questions next week, so just be prepared. They could have repeat questions, which, I think that's fine, because I think there are things that need to be gotten on the record in the room. So don't be like, I told you, totally get that. I mean, I'm a mother, I have 2 17-year-olds, I don't like to repeat myself, but one is ADHD, and so that's my job. But, so I get it. But just know that we'll be glad to have you next week. If there's any issues, you can reach out to the office in advance. We appreciate you filling out this form. It really does help us. It really cuts down on the amount of questions that we have to ask you because you're really forthcoming. My only last question would be, have you ever had a situation where someone has been denied entry and you've had to reach out to the precinct? Have you ever had that kind of an issue? Never? Yeah. That's good to know. Okay. Well, hot damn. Oh, one more. Okay, pass it on.
Sorry, guys. 2 quick questions. Can you reconfirm that delivery fees are going to
have a delivery minimum of $150. But yes, that we do not charge them any type of fee for home delivery. We're happy to deliver.
Perfect, thank you. And then also, sorry for the compliance. How do you deal with employee violations or breaches?
I mean, we do hold our team members accountable, and we do have, have documentation, et cetera, for violating company
There's
policies.
a process that the company will, like standards that you'll adhere to?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you. Great questions, everyone. I think we're good.
Okay, so you guys are free to go.
You guys are free to go. We're just gonna have a discussion.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank
you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much for patiently waiting for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Here.
See you next week.
Yes,
Or Saturday.
a week from today.
Oh.
Going to the medical center? You mentioned her Saturday.
We were like fine, but.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so, discussion.
I would love to go on Saturdays to just educate myself. Just,
For the knowledge.
but
Yeah.
at first I thought it was a presentation, like every Saturday at 2 o'clock, you sit down and they like walk you through and explain everything, but now it more sounds like that's when we have more customer service agents available and you can just walk in. I'd rather sit through a presentation than sit there and come up with your own questions, but definitely intrigued.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think the one thing I will say is, I know you three are newer to this committee, and I want to say thank you for joining to do this wonderful committee. This is the best application I think I've seen
Yes.
because I think it's because they're currently
Friendly, I'm
doing.
just gonna ask you to use the mic because we're still
Sorry,
recording.
they were doing the medical dispensary before because
Yeah.
this is the first one I feel like we've seen
They're very
a
established.
like a sign. Remember, that's one of the things we've always asked. They just don't have that yet, and they're newer businesses. So, and I think besides obviously the advertisement, they kind of knew they knew the answers. It seemed like they had an answer for all of our questions. So, I appreciate that. I think that as I mentioned, Robert mentioned it too. I've walked past there, you would not, unless you look into that store, you do not think that's I did not. I thought it was a massage, like you go get a massage. I was like, oh, okay, cool, another one. So, it's good.
I
Yeah.
will tell you guys from an office standpoint, friendly, didn't mean to interrupt you,
That's
but
okay.
we haven't had any complaints since they've been open about anything. I was here when they opened, at least 10 years, I think.
So they were doing
I would have to
medical.
look.
They were doing medical before.
Like,
They were doing the medical dispensary, like medicinal use. Then they have now added. I don't think they've stopped medical.
No, they
stopped.
don't.
They just added adult use to it. So that's why they've been in the neighborhood for a while.
So one thing that they explained to me was that the reason why they wouldn't give up the medical marijuana is, I think they mentioned it briefly, is that there's different things that you can take medically that you wouldn't be eligible for in the adult use category. Because I was thinking to myself, like, if everybody can have it, do you really have to have a medical dispensary if anybody can buy it, And they said there are some things, I think she mentioned, that you can't get unless you have a medical card. So there are some people that will still need that if they need those items. But when they first came and said they wanted to open the medical dispensary, our community was, David, you might have been on the board at that time, but
No.
it was, the community was not happy. They didn't know what it was. They were, what's gonna happen here? And it's something that we've never had a complaint about. We've never had an issue. They're very strict with their security. So just from a past experience perspective, that's how they operated their medical side.
And let's see one thing. I wish all legal dispensaries had a medical side, because I appreciate the fact that, you could have a client that come in who may need something that they're unable to provide. And, that would be suitable. And so Curaleaf has the nuance to know, this is recreational, this is a more serious situation, needs a more serious solution. Because my concern is that, you know, businesses that don't have that on the other side could try to meet the need with what they have. Because again, you want to, you know, you want to keep your customer, right? So you're going to, if it's a dress shop, you're going to try to fit that dress on her. You're going to throw Spanx on her and say, hey, you look glorious. Meanwhile, you look like two pigs fighting under a blanket when you're moving with that thing. Sorry, great line, I'm still making this. Didn't make that one up. But in all seriousness, I love that they're able to kind of go over, because I think that when you are in a pain management situation, it can be tricky. And I think you want to make sure you're doing the right things, because part of what happens when you get older, especially, is you don't know what symptoms are what. You know, am I tired because of the medication? Am I tired because I have cancer? Am I tired because I have rheumatoid arthritis? Is this drug interaction? I don't know why I'm tired. And so it's sometimes hard to take whatever that is that you're feeling and map it back to either disease or some type of a pre-existing condition or medication you're taking. So I think it's good that they have that, because I think it removes that. Because, you know, we can think that if you're older, you're not going to take it. I'm sorry, I'm freaking 53 years old. Gen X is going to be filling these weed shops, because they're going to be looking at this as a more viable option than some of the expensive things that you have to deal with. You know, I mean, when you look at even people who have ADHD and all that you have to deal with, you know, I think people are going to turn to the medicinal side. So I think their model, I just wish was replicated, because I think it's so smart in that they have the capacity to tell who needs what. I'm sure.
Is that something that we can actually suggest?
I think it would change the business model, and also changes their licensing for other places. So I just think it's you know, they got into the business early.
We have to also remember that one of the reasons why this was started, one, is that they were trying to provide people who had been previously convicted of a cannabis-related charge, to give them the chance to have a business. So this I think, from my understanding, they don't fall into that category. They were just doing medicinal before. They may have their own staff, or, you know, we had a partner here, maybe one of the partners. I don't know. They don't speak to that.
Because they're a chain. I mean, they're like.
You know?
She's gonna call something. So I guess at this point, what's the recommendation?
Well, we have to take a vote.
What's the recommendation?
The board, do you want to have a recommendation?
I guess making a
We're
motion.
checking that out.
So the motion is, so there's no like caveat, it's like motion to say we are going to give them the letter of approval.
I'm gonna shut the
from
recording
CB6.
off, but.
But we recommend.
Recommend,
Yes,
like,
because we
our support. But you know, I don't know if anybody has anything, like, we're gonna recommend
He
this
said it's
support,
okay, they're checking it out.
but
We don't
this
have
is
to
what
act
we
on
need,
it.
this is what we want to see as a follow-up. You know, sometimes we have that, like, let's say in like 6 months, we'd love for you to provide us with X, Y, Z. If no one, I don't have a reason for that, but if someone does, that's why the committee is formed. You know, if somebody wants to provide that.
I firmly believe they probably are the best in the industry. I hate CVS, but unfortunately they're the CVS of the industry as I see it. And therefore they have such a brand they have to stand behind. I think 5 years from now they'll still be quite frankly, they're going to be the one place that I try, because I feel like I'm going to be honest. The only thing I meant to follow up on, and I'm curious if you guys, I'm curious if any of you guys can interpret this. I'm curious if any of you guys interpret this. The Captain Rep saying pharmacist, do you think it's an actual licensed pharmacist, or can you use that term loosely for a marijuana expert?
That was a good question.
Do they have I wrote it down and I got distracted, but they made it sound so confidently that I'm very curious.
Could you talk at that question for next week?
I could ask them, you know, if you want, I can ask them before the meeting, just so we have it.
Because we want, I think we want to do a motion to do the recommendation, but then we find out that, let's say, that's not a real pharmacist, then maybe do we have that option to say, we're going to give you a recommendation, but we want to learn that you actually have a licensed pharmacist?
Well, that would be up to you guys, if you think that changes your recommendation. If it's not a pharmacist, do you think think that changes the recommendation. Now, you have to understand, we're not voting on their medical side.
Exactly.
So we're voting on the retail side, which doesn't require a pharmacist.
Yeah.
That's
So we can find out if it does or if it doesn't, but what we're voting for, I don't believe requires them to have a pharmacist. So like some of the other places that are opening may not have anybody that they call a pharmacist. You know, it may not have a pharmacist at all. I mean, because they don't have that medical stuff.
And that's not the side we're providing scrutiny for the adult retail side.
But we can confirm it
Yeah.
just to see if, like, 'cause maybe they
It's a
shouldn't
good
be calling
question.
it that if it's not a pharmacist.
Right,
You know?
in college, I did call my drug dealer my pharmacist. So. Sorry.
No.
But yes, I would
Love
like
the
to make
transparency. Okay, so what's the
I'd like to
motion?
make a motion.
Motion. Go ahead. Make the motion.
A motion to approve or?
Recommendation.
To
So
recommend.
I second that motion, but then I'd like to get, I think we'd have to go around and ask people if they agree or not.
Yeah, you vote. So, okay.
Great.
I agree.
Agreed.
Agreed.
And I don't get to vote.
So 5, we have 4.
6.
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
So now what Brentley and Gladys will do, just for the new people, is at the community board meeting, sorry, I was talking to you. At the community board meeting, they will give a committee report, one of them, and they'll tell the board that the committee recommends approval of this license. Now, the board can still vote against it, that's up to the community board, you know, they'll need their own vote, but the committee is voting to approve it. And then the community board will take a vote whether they agree with the committee recommendation or not.
And it's important to know, to be upfront when you present it, that they've already received their license. You know, because they put out a big old banner.
Yeah.
Like, I remember calling Christina, I'm like, yo! Because we had gotten this right as we finished. And that's the thing when you're taking a break over the summer. We're not gonna stop taking a break over the summer because I think it's healthy.